The back-to-back World Cup champions have taken their bows and their curtain calls this fall. Now it's time to take aim at a new challenge, Olympic gold next summer. With a new coach at the helm, the U.S. women's national team looks to close out 2019 in style against Costa Rica next. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer, presented by Volkswagen. Costa Rica the opponent tonight as the United States women try to close a remarkable 2019 on a high note here in Jacksonville. Alongside Julie Foudy, I'm Jonathan Yardley. What a year for the U.S. women, World Cup champions again. And now, of course, they're moving forward. They had the victory tour. Jill Ellis has stepped down. And this is game 2 under Vlatko Andonovski, who will lead them into Olympic qualifying. Where is this team at right now? What is the mood under Vlatko?
The mood is this freshness and this energy. And mind you, look at what this team has been through. The World Cup, of course, and the toil that takes. And then they go into their victory tour. And then they just finish their professional league. I mean, this is an exhausted group, yet you would never guess that. And that is what a new coach brings. It brings an energy and a rebirth, really, to this group as they get ready for Olympic qualifiers.
Vlatko Andonovski, born in the former Yugoslavia in Macedonia, came to the U.S. to play indoor in 2000, stayed to coach and took over FC Kansas City in the NWSL in 2013. Oh my gosh, did he succeed. Two-time champion, two-time coach of the year, moved to Reign FC in the state of Washington 2 years ago. And now he takes over as head coach. Game number 2, and he hands debuts to 2 newcomers into the starting lineup. Alana Cook at center back and Midge Purse at right back are going to stand out to you on this lineup right away. Ashlyn Harris, Floridian native, gets the start in goal. But up top, Julie, a lot more experience.
Yeah, same front line with Carli up leading that line. And this is the thing that we've seen so often from Carli. She leads the team with 15 goals. She gets herself in good positions. She scores 2, as we saw on Thursday night against Sweden. And this is why she is the subject of my Continental Tire Analyst Corner, because she gets herself into those positions. Mind you, with Alex Morgan announcing that she's pregnant, she's not going to be back until April of 2020, Carli Lloyd fills that number 9 slot. And this is what she does so well. She anticipates. She's been sharp with her movement. Look at this movement off the ball. Tobin Heath with the header. She gets in behind the defender, and what a beautiful chip, and how easy she makes it look in only her 9th start in 24 games this year.
She takes aim at Costa Rica tonight. They've missed the last 3 major tournaments since qualifying for the 2015 World Cup. They have 9 players from that 2015 team in the starting lineup. 2 teenagers, Blanco at the back and Chinchilla, their leading scorer, on the left.
But pay particular attention to Rocky Rodriguez, and U.S. fans will know her from NWSL. She plays for Sky Blue. She also won a national title at Penn State, where she was the Mac Herman Trophy Award winner for the best collegiate player. She's going to run the engine there alongside Shirley Cruz in midfield. And this is a Costa Rica team that wants to get better before Olympic qualifiers. Only 2 go to the Olympics, and they're looking to get out of that very tough CONCACAF group.
What a year 2019 has been. The U.S. unbeaten in 22, trying to close it strong tonight. You're watching ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer, brought to you by Volkswagen. ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer, brought to you by Volkswagen, rounding out the 2019 calendar year for the United States women. And of course, new boss Vlatko Andonovski has some big shoes to fill, Julie. These are the coaches that have won trophies, and lots of them, for the U.S. women.
Yeah, I mean, look at that list. You go down the line. Anson started the program. Tony DeChico, Olympic gold, World Cup. Pia Sundhage, 2 Olympic golds, Coach of the Year. Jill Ellis, 2 World Cups, 2 Coach of the Years. Good luck, Vlatko. No pressure.
He doesn't need luck, Julie. He got off to a good start Thursday.
He hears us. He's looking at us. He actually knows, too. When we talked to him earlier, he says, look, there's a history with this program, and so respectful of what Jill Ellis has done with this group, and said, I'm just here to build on it and tweak little things and not make wholesale changes.
Underway for the final game of 2019 for the United States, the World Cup champions this year, but now turning their eyes to the Olympics. Their next action after this will be Olympic qualifying late January starting in Houston, and they hope to be headed to Tokyo in the summer of 2020. Here is Alana Cook, the Stanford center back, to Midge Purce from Harvard, and a missed touch on her debut. I think it's safe to say there's a few nerves the first time you step out there with this group.
Absolutely, and how bold of Vlatko to give two players their first cap with the U.S. team.
Here is Rocky Rodriguez for Costa Rica. Costa Rica will be in the United States qualifying group for the Olympics in January. They had to win Central American qualifiers to get there, but made quick work of El Salvador and Nicaragua hosting those games in Costa Rica. They won those games in October, and it's pretty much the same squad heading to the U.S. tonight. Free kick for the U.S., won by Rose Lavelle through the middle. Karen Apt, the referee, whistles players away. U.S. got off to that fast start against Sweden, 3-0 lead at the half, and then wound up having to hold on. Gave up 2 goals in the second half. Carli Lloyd missed a penalty kick that would have given her a hat trick, but hold on they did for that first win. Cook out of the back looking for Purce. Runs out of room. It'll be a goal kick. What stood out to you from that Sweden game, from this start for Andonovski? Again, as we said, he's coming into a team that normally is pretty tired this time of year.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and we've seen them through the Victory Tour. And not to say they don't love the Victory Tour, but it's a bit of a battle to get yourself physically and mentally up for it. And yet you saw a bounce in their step for sure. And I think that's with any new coach and new voice comes. But what stood out in particular, Carli Lloyd's movement, her 2 goals. You talked about her missing the penalty kick. She could have really had for herself, putting herself in good position. And even in the 89th minute, getting in good positions. And this is what we've heard Carli Lloyd talk about for a very long time. Her desire to be playing and getting those minutes, and she's getting her chance, and you know she's going to grab it, as she does with most opportunities.
Cook heads that one back into the midfield. Morgan Bryan battling for it. And for Costa Rica, there's Shirley Cruz back to Catherine Alvarado. Here's Rodriguez, plays for Sky Blue after a great college career at Penn State that culminated with the national title. Rose Lavelle onto the ball. Makes one miss. Diagonal ball, deflects. Top corner, just like that. Carli Lloyd stays red hot.
And here is the beauty of Rose Lavelle, all the way back to where she wins this ball. Look at that first touch, taking it through. She cuts back, she finds a little space, and Carli Lloyd is just so sharp right now in front of goal. Picks the correct surface, little bend on it, sees where the keeper is, takes a little look, and has been so sharp there. She talks about it so much too, the amount of hours and work she's put into that finishing touch. 16th goal leads the team, and only her 9th start in this calendar year.
Since the World Cup, 8 goals now in 7 games. And counting, of course. We got a long way to go in this one. And that was the replacement right back, Gabby Guillen, who could only get a touch to Lavelle's pass. She came in after an injury in warm-ups to Daniela Cruz. Costa Rica trying to respond. This is Priscilla Chinchilla, 18-year-old. Now Lixie Rodriguez with the cross. Sauerbrunn headed away. And in the penalty area, looking for Shirley Cruz and Emily Sonnet, who switches over to left back tonight after playing right back on Thursday. Got it clear. It's been a trend in U.S. Costa Rica games, hitting them early, and it's just the 4th minute on the opening goal. Yen looking in the penalty area for Villalobos, couldn't connect, and now Kristen Press a chance on the run. Rodriguez hooked it away for Costa Rica. It returns right back to Tobin Heath. Footwork by Cruz, great career in France, has just moved back to Costa Rica, playing there for the first time in 13 years. She started to play. Melissa Herrera's delivery hits out Raquel Rodriguez, and she drags it wide under pressure.
Hey, come on! Come on! Here's another look at that goal. Rose finding just a gap of space, puts enough pace on that ball to get by Guillen, and Carli Lloyd is going to do the rest. Such a good example for young kids too, when they look at the different ways in which Carli scores. It's not always with power, different surfaces of her foot. There she's just bending it into the corner. How about the chip in the game against Sweden?
So many players would have taken a touch there. You know, you're not sure the ball's going to come through to you as the flag comes up against Lloyd. And she takes it first time for goal number 121 of her international career. So Alex Morgan, pregnant, as you said earlier, due in April, hopes to be back for the Olympics, but in the meantime there's a center forward position to fill, and Carli Lloyd is clearly making her case to occupy that role for Olympic qualifying. There's Guillen. Drawing the foul under pressure from Emily Sonnet.
Beyond Alex Morgan being away, Sam Mewis had to go home for a family commitment. You've got some injured players. Kelly O'Hara, Lindsay Horan tweaked her hamstring a little bit in that Sweden game. Crystal Dunn is out with injury. Krieger, Rapinoe, Tierna Davidson. 6 right there who are injured.
And just 20 for Olympic qualifying, 18 players on the roster for the Olympics themselves.
Think about that. You've got to cut the roster 5 on day 1.
Welcome to the job.
Yes. For the Olympics. You got to get down to 18. And there are the unavailables.
You know, and he himself said, one of my weaknesses is I'm too loyal to my players. I become so close to them. And, you know, I talked to people who played for Vlatko, and they said he is super loyal. If you play for him, you're like family. But when it comes time to the tough decisions, he will make them. He will do what's best for the team, and he will be cool about it. He will have a plan for you as to what's next. But he will make the tough decisions, and he's going to have to, certainly, taking over at this time in the cycle. Offside flag is up again.
Great little ball in by Julie Ertz, though. And I know one of the themes that Andonovski has talked about. Here's the little chip. Tobin trying to tiptoe on that line, but is offside. Is getting that midfield 3 more engaged with how good you have, especially when you had Lindsay Horan and her creativity in the middle. Ertz, Rose Lavelle.
On cue, into the penalty area, driven into the corner. Morgan Bryan back in the lineup, and it's 2-0 U.S. inside of 10 minutes.
And again, it's that one, number 16, Rose Lavelle. If you can get the ball at Rose Lavelle's feet, good things happen. Draws 3 players, slips it to Morgan Bryan. I mean, just that penetration, that little two-touch there draws two players right away, which releases Morgan Bryan into that gap. And a great finish by Morgan Bryan.
Two 2-0 the start. It's been a one-sided series, of course. The U.S. is 14-0 all-time against Costa Rica. But Amelia Valverde, the Tica head coach, you see the goal differential. Yeah, they've only scored 2 goals against the U.S. in 14 games. She said, we played them 3 years ago, right before the U.S. was headed to the Olympics. We want to see if we've improved. The score that night in Kansas City was 4-0. Not an auspicious start for the red and blue. Valverde, she's just 32, already her 5th year as a head coach. Took over right before that 2015 World Cup, where they got a couple of ties, acquitted themselves pretty well, but have been unable to qualify again for the last 2 Olympics and for this year's World Cup. Stephanie Blanco, one of the youngsters, out of the back, trying to find Lixi Rodriguez. But we go back to the U.S. goal, and this is something Vlatko Andonovski wanted, to press higher up the field, and it created the turnover.
Yeah, and to get those then attacking center midfielders into the box. And look at that, Morgan Bryan making that run, anticipating Rose Lavelle's going to find her. And it's so hard for teams to track that run out of midfield.
For Morgan Bryan, only her 6th game this year. Added to the World Cup roster, but just had the 1 start in France. And her 8th career goal here.
Talking to Julie Ertz yesterday as well about her freedom to get forward as well. She says, I'm going to tend to stay deeper, but for me, I also have the license to go when I want to. And so it becomes, with that front 3, an interchangeable 5 or 6. Again, so hard for opponents to track those.
This is Gloriana Villalobos, nominally the forward for this game, but there'll be a lot of interchanging between Villalobos, Cruz, and Rocky Rodriguez, none of whom is a true center forward. The center forwards on this team are too young, too inexperienced to start in a game like this, but we'll see what they can find up top. Rodriguez is there at the moment. This is Shirley Cruz. Footwork out of the back by Catherine Alvarado, the deep-lying midfielder. And there's Tobin Heath doing the defensive work to win it for the U.S. And who else? Lavelle to lead the counter. Rose Lavelle on the run. Looking for press, broken up by Gabby Guillen. Here's press, her 50th U.S. goal on Thursday. Lavelle cutting it back, Tobin Heath, dummy. To Shirley Cruz, though, who doesn't wear white tonight. ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer brought to you by Volkswagen, presenting sponsor of U.S. soccer. Let's all drive something bigger than ourselves. U.S. off to a great start here, 2-0 inside of the first 10 minutes. Carli, Lloyd, and Morgan Bryan both scoring from Rose Lavelle assists in this first half. Rodriguez couldn't keep that in. It'll be a U.S. throw. Press playing that one early, and Sanchez, the center back, over. She'll leave it for Noelia Bermudez, the 25-year-old goalkeeper. Broke her left arm in qualifying a little over a year ago. Out for 6 months. She said there is a new Noelia back on the field after that. Just really frustrating to watch them miss out on qualifying for the World Cup.
And we talked about it earlier, but it's just so hard to get into the Olympics. Only 12 teams, only 2 from CONCACAF. I think Costa Rica got about as good a draw as they could have, though, with them falling into the U.S. group, because what it means is you have to win that semifinal. So if you finish in the top 2 of your groups, if you finish in the top 2 of your group, then you play, obviously, the crossover to the other group, and you got to win that semifinal.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't actually a great draw for the U.S. because by avoiding Mexico and Canada in group play, they will most likely face either Mexico or Canada with a spot in the Olympics on the line. I'm still kind of surprised they're sticking with that one-game knockout. Winner goes to the Olympics rather than some sort of group stage. But
I also feel that if you win a World Cup, you should just get an automatic bid into the Olympics.
We've got a lot of ways to reform Olympic soccer, actually.
We could add another 4 teams,
yeah,
right?
If you
that doesn't
stick
add
with
any
us,
games. Just adds another group.
You can break that out in the second half. Tobin Heath broke that up, and here's Rose Lavelle. Numbers up for the U.S., 3 against 3. And Carli Lloyd had broken off her run right when the pass came from Lavelle. This is Stephanie Blanco, just 18. She's become the starter at center back. That long switch and just played out ahead of the run of Guillen. Alyssa Herrera plays in France, goes backward. This is the step up for Costa Rica. You play Nicaragua, you play El Salvador, you can have the ball in situations like this and try to get comfortable and create chances. A lot more challenging against the U.S. Sonnet with the switch for Alana Cook. Now this is her debut for the U.S. She was in camp with England just in September as they prepared for friendlies. Eligible through her father. This does not cap tie her to the U.S. She could still switch and represent England. Only an official game would cap tie her, but it's cap number 1 for Alana Cook. Less than a year after leaving Stanford.
Quite a year for her. Signs with PSG. Right before the NWSL draft, they snagged her away.
She said it was an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah. And then she gets the call from Phil Neville.
This is Priscilla Chinchilla, their leading scorer this season with 6 goals. Was great in the Pan American Games, but couldn't connect with Villalobos there. That round of applause you hear, those screams, are for Ashlyn Harris, the goalkeeper. From Satellite Beach, Florida, which is about 2.5 hours down I-95. And plays for the Orlando Pride. So this is her part of the country. And she's popular everywhere she goes, don't get me wrong, but friends and family tonight. We asked Vlatko Andonovski about the goalkeeper position. He said everything is open, not just goalkeeper, but all spots. Alyssa Nair did play on Thursday, but she's not dressed tonight. Adriana Franch is the backup goalkeeper.
You know what I do like that he did, though? Because you do have some new coaches who come in and say, I'm going to put my stamp on this program. Right. I'm going to change, make these wholesale changes. And he had the confidence to say, this is working, right? What we're doing and what these players are doing is working. Obviously, they're coming off 2 World Cup wins. But let's just make it better. Let's fine-tune some things. Let's make it so that we can be less predictable in some areas. We don't always have to play in a 4-3-3. And again, to a player, when they talk about Vlatko Andonovski, they talk about the detail of his preparation with games, with teams, with breaking down film.
Everybody brings up film study.
I mean, to the point of, you need to be 2 steps this way. You need to be coming in at this angle. This should be coming off your left foot in this way.
Lloyd first to that loose ball. Can't connect with Heath in tight space though. And Costa Rica goes backward to Bermudez. Now Friday at 7 Eastern here on ESPN2. Big match in the CONCACAF Nations League. A lot of pressure on Greg Berhalter in the U.S. hosting Canada over in Orlando at Exploria Stadium. The match also streaming live on the ESPN app Friday night. That is going to be an interesting one after the way the away game in Toronto played out.
A lot of pressure on that game, Jonathan.
And some concerns after Christian Pulisic came up hurt for Chelsea. Here's Midge Purse getting forward, playing it across. Lloyd finally gets it away with the left and turned it wide. But Midge Purse, an attacking player in the regular season with Portland, getting forward from right back.
How many times have we seen her do this for the Thorns? And outside back conversion from forward. Instead of playing that ball early, has the presence of mind to take on that defender, and then not just that, find a seam. Carli Lloyd's first touch.
Julie, that was smooth.
Took her away from it a bit. But Midge Purse showing why she scored 8 goals for Portland this year.
Really took advantage of the time when the World Cup call-ups were missing. Ertz is just offside, breaking in. Frustrated with herself.
Close. Again, that ball, Rose Lavelle. And again, the freedom for Julie Ertz, who we talked about earlier, to get out of that deeper line position. Does look like she might have been off there.
We said, Julie, at least you get to stay in the same formation. She said, did we?
But were we?
What formation did you think we were playing?
And against Sweden, they were dropping into a 4-1-4-1 defensively. It looks like here, Tobin Heath is the only one dropping back. They're keeping press and Carli Lloyd higher more often. We saw against Sweden, Tobin put in a shift defensively as well.
And that was what he wanted to change. That was Vlatko Andonovski's big takeaway from the first half against Sweden, was he wanted to be able to press higher up the field. He felt like they did that in the second half. And we're going to do more of it tonight against obviously a lower ranked team in Costa Rica as compared to Sweden. First one, that header to Tobin Heath. Mayo has the decision and gives the throw in to Costa Rica. Immediately pressured by Lavelle though. Christian Press tries it with the left foot and skies it from 25 yards, but no shortage of confidence for Christian Press, of course.
I think she was surprised with all the space she had around her. No one stepping. Okay, I'm going to go myself then.
12th U.S. player to reach 50 goals on Thursday night. And she had a hat trick against Costa Rica, one of their recent meetings, 2015. U.S. up 2-0 here. Carli Lloyd in the 4th minute, Morgan Bryant in the 10th. Both set up by Rose Lavelle, who really has had the breakout year. Spent so long battling injuries that we've seen this year, when healthy, when confident, what she can do.
I really think Rose Lavelle will be one of the legacies of Jill Ellis, because that is a coach that just stood with her. I mean, when there was so many injuries, there was a year and a half of hamstring issues, really, 2017, 2018, and Jill Ellis said she's going to come back, she's going to be there for us. This is a player that we're willing to spend and invest the time and energy on, and boy, did that pay off. She got that one exactly right. And what a player for the future for the United States.
She was really candid on your podcast. A little plug there, but I listened to it, and she talked about, I was in a rut. I was really deep confidence-wise. Rose Lavelle and
all the injuries, yeah.
Unable to play consistently, unable to feel like she was contributing to the team, and found her way back, working with a sports psychiatrist. That cross too far for Lloyd, chested down and finally cleared dangerously out of the back by Chinchilla. And that moment, I mean, the penalty kick in the World Cup final was great, but the moment when Lavelle slalomed forward and essentially put it away with her goal from the run of play was one of the standout moments from this summer. Rodriguez playing forward for Costa Rica. He's back toward Carol Sanchez, who spent a year at VCU. A few players on this squad with collegiate experience. Bermuda is too tall for the diminutive left back, Lexi Rodriguez. Lavelle under pressure, tripped up by the youngster Chinchilla. We talk about a group that is fatigued. So much soccer this year, so much travel, so much extracurriculars on top of that between media appearances and the like. How big is this break coming up before Olympic qualifying? and how do they mentally kind of move past it?
I was talking to Julie Ertz yesterday, and I said, how tired are you? You must be exhausted. You know, she just played in the NWSL final, and she said, I'm really looking forward and stoked for Sunday. But I am so excited for Monday. But they don't have much time to rest, because look at what awaits them in January. And it's in this format where you have to win that semifinal game, they know there's no margin of error. So you take a couple weeks, but then you got to get back at it. And that is why we have never seen, I think, in my opinion, a World Cup champion win the Olympics the very next year on the women's side. It's a tight turnaround and very hard to do.
And that is the task facing this group. Tobin Heath's cross deflected by Rodriguez into the middle. Bryan can't come up with it. Cleared away to the center back, Sauerbrunn. It's not for lack of quality teams to pursue it. Great U.S. teams. Germany a couple times. Gotten to the Olympics, but unable to follow up a World Cup win with an Olympic win just the next year.
I will tell you, having tried to do it after the '99 World Cup, there's so much attention, and you're having to do so much sponsorship media stuff, because all these women know this window is finite too for them, and some of them to make a living, and you want to capitalize on it. That it gets exhausting, and so it's no surprise really that there's been a struggle to ever do well that following year. We asked Vlatko, I said, not to be a buzzkill, Coach Andonovski, but I want to give you this stat.
This was Julie's second question.
Yes.
Hey Vlatko, nice to meet you. Can you win the gold? Offside flag is up again.
And he smiled and said, the perfect answer. I see it as a great opportunity to actually change that record, to set the record book straight.
Former MISL MVP with the Kansas City Comets. actually coached indoor while he was coaching FC Kansas City for years. He's strictly outdoor now. And he's retained some part of his staff. Don Scott, Graham Abel, the goalkeeper coach. Don Scott on the fitness side of things. And Milan Ivanovic, his trusted number 2, has come over. And there's probably still one spot to fill on that coaching staff.
One assistant coach.
Kristen Press off the turnover, drives it into the tunnel.
I'm not sure why Costa Rica continues to do this, because the United States just keeps pressing. And when they do, there's trouble. Again, Rose Lavelle, a piece of it. And this is just something that you've got to get on frame. I mean, that has to be cleared. When you play short like that, you're just getting yourself in trouble.
Now, obviously, the result of this game not critical to whether or not Costa Rica qualifies for the Olympics. Isn't this the time to test that out, to try and play out of the back against high pressure from a team that's better than you are, and make those adjustments?
I think you have to balance it, though. You have to recognize that this is a system that's not going to work with this group. They're faster, they're more athletic. I'm talking about the U.S. team, and so if it's not working, then you have to adjust. And you want to work on stuff, but you also don't want to get run off the field either. Yep.
This is Chinchilla trying to connect with Melissa Herrera. Morgan Bryan came back to break it up and win a free kick. She's on our scoring summary, Morgan Bryan, but Carli Lloyd got it started. Goal number 121 and number 16 for the calendar year, a team best just 4 minutes in. And when you factor in the NWSL game, she's been on a scoring tear. Rose Lavelle setting them both up. U.S. 22-game unbeaten streak since they lost to France in Le Havre to open the calendar year in January. And just one loss in their last 51 games, going back to 2017. Cruz tried to hold the ball up. Purse in the U.S. trying to bring it right down the Costa Rican throats. Given away by Sauerbrunn uncharacteristically.
Little sloppy by the United States. Sonnet on that left side is playing a very open, aggressive, high attacking line. She's trying to get in, and the U.S. just unable to find that quick switch to the opposite side. There's loads of space on that weak side, and they just can't find it yet.
This is Guillen, the right back, again, just added into the starting lineup about 20 minutes before kickoff. Herrera's delivery headed by Rocky Rodriguez right into the arms of Ashlyn Harris. Her first real action. Lavelle pulled out to this right-hand side again. Sauerbrunn was looking for press.
Ironically, that was the ball Sonnet was looking for the last 5 minutes.
Does lead to a U.S. corner. First corner kick of the game for either team. Press delivery. Lavelle the target. It's headed clear. And a player down right off the bat.
Great ball in by Press. Well done by Bermudez. No, I thought she got a glove on it. She didn't. She got a glove on the head of her defender instead.
That's Stephanie Blanco, the 18-year-old. Became a starter during the Pan Am Games this summer. And she is quite a story. The first indigenous player from the Bribri tribe, where Costa Rica meets Panama on the Caribbean coast. First indigenous Tika to play for Costa Rica. And at just 18, she's already moved to the Central Valley, where most of the teams are in the Costa Rican League. I can't say professional because they're not, but able to play club soccer on a regular basis now. And again, just 18 breaking into this lineup.
They're trying to make it professional, aren't they?
They're working on it. Second corner, that did come off Blanco's head. She's waiting for permission to come back on. Heath's delivery. Almost a good connection at the back post. Alana Cook skying for that one.
Seen her do this quite a bit in her Stanford days. Gets herself in a good position as well. Rose Lavelle wide open on that back post.
Now next Sunday, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN2 going to be your home for the USL Championship Final. Louisville City looking for a three-peat, hosting the Real Monarchs at Lynn Stadium in Louisville. The match also streaming live on the ESPN app. Now that is the University of Louisville Lynn Stadium. The Louisville City Lynn Stadium will open next year. And as we know, we'll host an NWSL team in 2021. Jonathan Yardley, Julie Foudy with you from Jacksonville. U.S. looking for a third. Heath waits for the overlap. Her shot finally closed down, and Bermudez comes out to grab it. Tries to go quickly too. Looking for Gloriana Villalobos, formerly of Florida State, but unable to catch up to that one.
If I'm Costa Rica, Jonathan, I'm putting a player on Rose Lavelle, because every single time Rose Lavelle is in the middle, she's finding that seam.
Just one?
Yeah, a couple. But there's just two. They're losing her into those gaps, and she's finding these little seams.
Here's Villalobos, icon of this Costa Rican program from the time she was 14. She's now 20. And Cruz, the legend of Central American soccer, finds Lixie Rodriguez. Diagonal ball spinning, and it twisted almost on goal. Ashlyn Harris able to collect. We go back to the last U.S. opportunity.
And there's that little seam that Rose Lavelle finds. She sees she has space, faces, and then she has the presence of mind to find and thread the far side as well. And Tobin Heath tries to do her Tobin Heath thing in there, as we've seen her do so well for so many years. But that little seam she can find herself in, and too much space for Rose Lavelle if you're a Costa Rica player.
Carol Sanchez won that duel with Carli Lloyd. Sauerbrunn heads down for Ertz, but it turns over. Mitch Purse into the tackle, gets up to win it as well. Good sign for her in this first half.
I think the two debutantes in Purse and Cook having a good game. This is a great situation to put them in, and Andonovski knows that. You're not going to get the high pressure that you're going to get from Sweden, of course. It's a more comfortable game, but still, Purse in a position she doesn't play often. She's been playing her higher up the field for her club. Jill Ellis tried her for a little bit at outside back as well, but
two-time Ivy League Player of the Year at Harvard. She was the first player to ever win the Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year awards in the same year. Could have been brought down to the hand. Karen App doesn't think so. Noelia Bermudez feeling adventurous. almost got burned for it. Blanco had to clear that one away.
I think she's saying to her defender, I know, next time I'm going to clear that.
I'm not sure.
I would hope so. I think that's going to be my conversation if I was the coach with Bermudas at halftime. Can we just clear that first time? That'd be great.
Tobin Heath back to Purse. And now Alana Cook. Lavelle, a chance to turn, almost snuck that one through for Morgan Bryant. And a free kick to the U.S. Villalobos can't believe it.
This is where Julie Ertz is so good. Every time the opponent gets the ball and tries to get out of their defensive third, and this is something that's been a focus that Vlatko Andonovski was talking about, is that press higher up. She just stops their initial counter from even happening. She's constantly there breaking down that tackle.
Ball skipped out of range of Lavelle, who was in acres of space. She set up both goals. The U.S. up 2-0. Love this. In a friendly, you can do whatever you want. They've got the tablet out on in the technical area. Had it Thursday as well. That was the question we ran out of time for, was what are you looking at on the tablet? I mean, I had a player tell me if he spends 20 hours a day watching film, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he seems to find everything, and it's in tandem with Milan Ivanovic, who's come over from their club working together. And it's not that the U.S. and that other NWSL teams aren't doing video review, but somehow Andonovski has this reputation, and his players will swear to it, that he finds the right clips to prepare them. Sonnet under pressure here, right-footed player playing left back tonight. Goes backward to Cook. And all the way back to Ashlyn Harris. Now coming up at halftime, we'll go out to Seattle, here from John Champion and Taylor Twellman, looking back at today's MLS Cup final. Spoiler alert, Seattle won. And we'll be joined up here by the general manager of U.S. Soccer, the woman who led the coaching search for Vlatko Andonovski, Kate Markgraf. That's all coming up at halftime. Purse getting forward, wins corner kick number 3 for the U.S. Just 1 goal her first 2 years in the NWSL, struck for 8 this year up in Portland. Tobin Heath once again on the corner. Came off Carli Lloyd's hand. It'll be a Costa Rican free kick from their own penalty area.
She's trying to say it was off the side of me. I don't know what the armpit falls under.
I'm not going to wade into that one. He throws quickly for Lloyd. Press lurking at the back post. Lexi Rodriguez closed things down and plays it toward the seats. 2 early goals, Julie, 4th minute and 10th minute. Has the U.S. done enough in this first half to be satisfied?
I think they're going to look back and say we should have had 1-2 more, close this game out. Need to be sharper in that final third with that final ball. It's one of the things that also I know they've been wanting to look at. Vlatko Andonovski said, I've not wanted to pour too much at them too soon. But I think they can tighten up for sure, get cleaner. be more efficient in that final third.
We'll likely also see some personnel changes in the second half. 6 subs allotted for this one. The U.S. has 7 available. As we're into stoppage time, just 1 minute of it here in the first half after the 2 goals by the U.S. Purse is onside here, and it's another corner kick coming the U.S.'s way in first half stoppage time. Heath with a little jump in her step, wanting to get one more scoring chance in. Now the delivery near post, looking for Ertz, and she had a hard collision with Lixie Rodriguez, who is still down. And now they'll get the attention, but Ertz, of course, looking with eyes on the ball all the way, but caught Rodriguez in a dangerous way.
Right on the ankle there, it looks.
Already lost one outside back to injury in pregame warmups, Costa Rica.
On the flip side, if you're Costa Rica, you look and say, okay, first 20 minutes.
Not great.
Not great, right? But you stay in it. You still have a chance. They're organized, not clearly getting enough possession or looks on goal, but they're in this. And they will take a lot going into halftime, and that they're still in this, because it could be 4 right now.
We see it again. Good thing there's no video review. And it's an even better thing to see Rodriguez back on her feet. The 29-year-old plays for Alajuela. And that's the last action of the first half that saw the United States strike for 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. US 2, Costa Rica nothing through 45 minutes here in Jacksonville. You're watching ESPN's coverage of US soccer, brought to you by Volkswagen. Early with Carli Lloyd striking in only the 4th minute. Of course, Rose Lavelle setting it up.
And this is a beauty from Carli. She makes it look so easy. That ball bouncing a little bit. She keeps it down. Nicely bent into the corner. And again, Rose Lavelle finding a little seam. This one to a midfielder, Morgan Bryan, making that run that's so hard to track. Drives it low and hard to the far post. And the U.S. up 2 early.
Shot 7-2 in the United States' favor in that first half. But Costa Rica did settle down after the early goals to keep it just a 2-0 game. Underway for the final 45 minutes of the U.S. season for 2019. Trying to finish on a high note against a team that they will see in a couple of months in Olympic qualifying in Costa Rica. Two changes right off the bat for the U.S. Lynn Williams in at forward, replacing Carli Lloyd, playing right up top. And Andy Sullivan for the 2nd straight game comes on at halftime to replace Julie Ertz in the deepest midfield role. Oh, I beg your pardon?
I think in from...
He's in for Sauerbrunn, and Ertz is at the back.
Correct.
And Adriana Franch on as well. I thought we were going to see Julie Ertz at center back in this camp.
And that is an important consideration. That's obviously where she was in 2015 for the World Cup title. Into the midfield for this year's run, but the glut of talent the U.S. has in central midfield, exploring that option to play her at the back makes sense. For Costa Rica, this is Raquel Rodriguez. She says we can call her Rocky. That's what I go by in the U.S. A Costa Rican throw on that far side. Where do you like to see Julia Ertz best?
I'm a little bit torn, Jonathan, but I do like her in the midfield because she just brings a bite that you don't get out of any other player. She's commanding with her tackle. She stops every counterattack. She's good at getting forward still. There's an energy she brings that is irreplaceable, I think.
Immediately stepping into the organizing role that Sauerbrunn was, of course, taking on. And the U.S. will have to deal with a corner here. Costa Rica's first. As we get confirmation of the subs. Glad to get a look at all three goalkeepers during this two-game stretch. Vlatko Andonovski, just the third cap for Adriana Franch, 28-year-old from Kansas. Costa Rica goes short. We saw them do this in Olympic qualifying. Offside flag was up, but we'll play through it with the U.S. in possession and on the move. Lynn Williams slowed down through the middle by Villalobos. And now Kristen Press will try to switch the field. Sullivan too high for Emily Sonnet.
And with Lynn Williams on the left, Press on the right, Tobin Heath looks to be pushing in the center there. This is an opportunity for the U.S. to showcase that speed and pace up front. We've seen Lynn Williams do it so well with NWSL. And Press, of course, with her speed on the other side as well, stretch that back line. I think Press had an opportunity to do it right then and instead pulled it back. But two of the pacier players for the United States, you'd love to see them just getting in behind.
Williams on the run here. Press, Heath plays her through. Lynn Williams in the penalty area. Has the finishing touch at the international level. Goal number 5. Lynn Williams makes it 3-0.
There's the pace we just talked about. Tobin Heath playing the role of provider. And when you have wheels like this, great first touch by Lynn Williams to take that defender completely out of it. And then to size up, no one steps to her. I can finish this, I have the space. If you're not gonna step, I'm just gonna slide it. Great finish by Lynn Williams. And I would be doing that all night with that pace that you have on that outside. So dangerous.
So good in the NWSL. The North Carolina Courage, champions again. Now Andy Sullivan switches it. Here is Purse. Active on that right side in the first half, running against Lixie Rodriguez. Has help, Rodriguez does. Played out for a corner kick. So Heath will take the corner. It toward the penalty spot, cleared away. Should be a U.S. throw, and it is, with Sonnet on the spot. Offside would have been the call. Williams lets the ball run. First international goal in more than 2 years for Lynn Williams, who has stayed hot, of course, in league play. There she is, second all-time in the NWSL behind the incomparable Sam Kerr.
Look at those numbers.
And it's good company.
It is. Jess McDonald as well, right there.
Is available tonight off the bench. Purse's delivery, looking for Williams, and it was cleared away at the near post. Blanco down again. She got there ahead of the goalkeeper Bermudez. But may have caught something in her eye. That'll do it.
Follow through.
A boot.
Purse so active on that right side.
And like you said, some freedom to get forward in a game like this for an outside back in her debut, but she's making the most of it.
And she has the confidence to get in the box, not just get forward and then play a ball across. We've seen her a few times. Cut it, get in, be creative, and that's the offensive side of her. Exactly what they want to see in an outside back. You, of course, want to be a great defender, but equally important, you got to be great at getting into that final third, attacking third.
So some eye drops for Blanco. You see that career? All 7 of those games in the last couple of years. She'll be off the field for the U.S. corner kick. Too high for Bryan, runs all the way through. Lynn Williams fights to win it back and will settle things down for the U.S. Blanco's still waiting for permission to come back on. Typically you have to go to the halfway line. Now she's got it and is back on the field of play, 11 on 11. Rodriguez playing this one through. Broken up at the last second. Alana Cook closed down Priscilla Chinchilla to prevent that chance, but there was a big hole there.
Andy Sullivan stepped forward in the midfield. Bit of a gap there in midfield because she had come forward and couldn't get to the ball.
Sonnet's pass easily dealt with there. Melissa Herrera. Herrera and Sonnet battling for this one. Herrera, another one who's gone abroad to play professionally, plays for Reims in France, helped them get promoted last year, and just last week scored her first goal in the French First Division to beat Metz. She's 23, part of that young core they want to build around. But most of today going to be spent defending. Heath to Williams, to the back post, Christian press off the post. What looked like a gimme. And she'll be frustrated not to have put that away.
Yeah, and she knows it as well. Again, Heath, a great slip ball in. Williams with the perfect pass to press as well.
There's a great touch. There's Christian Press's goal.
She's like, I'm not going to miss this one. There's Midge Persigan getting in the action. Unable to clear Costa Rica, and Press isn't going to let that one get by again. She bites on the first touch, creates a little bit of window. Look how the defender bites. So clean.
She's been provider so much of the year. A team best 11 assists. Goal number 5 in the calendar year for Kristen Press. But I go back to the unselfishness of Lynn Williams. I know she's already got a goal, but this is a fringe national team player. You're in front of goal. You figure no one's going to blame you if you shoot. And she found Press, who had a better angle. And even though the play didn't come off, that's going to earn you some respect.
You could see Press even saying to her, "Sorry, sister. Thank you for that gift."
U.S. takes the throw in quickly. Sonnet knocked down in the penalty area, and it's cleared away. Press with some space in the penalty area. Back for Andy Sullivan. Another one who just missed out on the World Cup. Purse ahead for the run of Williams. We've seen her all over that forward line. That's something the players talked about, that there's going to be some fluidity, especially just in this first week under Vlatko Andonovski. Some freedom to interchange, maybe more than you'd have once you were structured and in a competitive tournament.
Yeah, and I think there's only so many things you can get to, right, as a coach in these first days. You don't want the players to be drinking from a fire hose as well. So you introduce things, and I think with that, one of the things he has introduced is a little more freedom to interchange, especially lines. We've seen that from midfield a little bit more.
Bermudez has had some interesting moments, gave this one away. Morgan Bryant played it square. Williams from distance knocked away. Bermudez, her first stop of the day, and it was a good one.
Too many times just getting caught with her feet, Bermudez. And that, she didn't get help by her defender in that situation, but she makes up for it with that save. Then Williams hit that well, too.
She has looked sharp. Bermudez gonna have some work to do on her footwork. Stares down. Corner kick number 7 as the U.S. ratchets up the pressure here in the second half. Bermudez fumbled it, but grabs the hop. Now ESPN's coverage brought to you by Volkswagen, presenting sponsor of U.S. Soccer. Let's all drive something bigger than ourselves. 60th minute here, and the U.S. in cruise control at 4-0, but still trying to work on their performance and still trying to, in many individual cases, show well for the new coach and earn a spot on the Olympic qualifying roster in January. What's it like, Julie, having a new coach come in, you know, even if it's not a roster being named in 2 months, but having someone else judging you, sometimes a chance for a fresh start? How do you deal with it?
It's both exciting yet a little bit nerve-wracking, because you don't know where you're going to fall with this coach. You don't know what type of player he's going to like and choose. But I also think that uncertainty is a great driver and motivator. And when it's channeled properly, it can lead to you becoming a better player, a better group.
Heath goes end line, and Bermudez is there.
And that really is, I think, the lift that happens right now, given how exhausted they are, yet they still have this excitement, and you see these smiles because it is new, it's all fresh. And to take nothing away from Jill and what her staff did over the course of these last 5 years, because we know how successful they've been, but sometimes just a new voice brings that.
Another heavy challenge. Lavelle involved, but the Costa Rican player still down. Villalobos. just now getting to her feet near midfield. (4-0 U.S. Goals from Carli Lloyd, Morgan Bryan, Lynn Williams, and Kristen Press. This is Villalobos. Left Florida State abruptly in September. Personal reasons is the only answer we've been able to get. She was a starter in the NCAA tournament that Florida State won last year. That's driven off the crossbar, and Melissa Herrera that close to finding one for Costa Rica.
Little rhythm for Costa Rica as well. When Sonnet doesn't step, and Herrera, man, she gets a hold of that one as well. A little more assertion by the Costa Rican team, and you can see with this Costa Rica team, they have the bits and pieces. They're organized, but it's the mistakes in the back from Bermudez. It's the little things that cost you, and this is why a game like this is so important to this group for Costa Rica, because if they're going to get through to that next level and make it into the Olympics, those things just cannot be happening because the better teams are going to pounce on them.
Mallory Pugh among the substitutes. Jessica McDonald and Allie Long come on as well. If you're tracking the captain's armband, it went to Tobin Heath and is now migrated to Julie Ertz. Morgan Bryan scored the second goal back in the first half. Smiles and fist bumps all around. So the U.S. with 6 subs available has used them all now. Casey Short, who played 90 minutes on Thursday, will not get into this one. Williams running at the Costa Rican back line. Numbers in the penalty area. Pugh left it. Rose Lavelle sees it deflected out for another corner. The architect of the first 2 U.S. goals, trying to get one herself.
I mean, this is really going to be the challenge for Andonovski. Is look at that front line you now have. You have Jessica McDonald, Lynn Williams, Mallory Pugh out, Alex Morgan for pregnancy reasons, Megan Rapinoe for injury reasons. I mean, the depth of this team is immense. A good problem to have, mind you.
Now Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Big game in the CONCACAF Nations League. Greg Berhalter and the U.S. hosting Canada from Orlando. Match will be streaming live on the ESPN app Friday at 7. First edition of the CONCACAF Nations League, and no matter what regard you hold the tournament, there is pressure on the U.S. team this week. Play Cuba in the Cayman Islands and play Canada at home to round out this first group stage edition. They hope to be advancing, but have work to do. Sullivan hard into a tackle there. Ertz moves it to Allie Long. She's been one of the most vocal players after playing for Andonovski with the Reign the last 2 years. Very vocal in hoping he got the job. Said she loved it when he yelled at her because she knew how much he was asking from her. Herrera, who hit the crossbar a moment ago. Now Rodriguez to Lixie Rodriguez. Chinchilla closed down by Purse. It'll be a Costa Rican throw. And Tika is preparing their first sub, but that cohesion from the starting group has let them develop into the game a little bit more as the U.S. has subbed.
Getting a little more swagger to them, Costa Rica.
And this is one of their hopes for the future. Maria Paula Salas. She's 17, 2002 birthday. 5 goals already. Came on against Nicaragua when they were only up 1-0 and had been struggling to finish, and put together a great goal. Scored against El Salvador as well. And she would probably normally have started up top, but they didn't want to throw a 17-year-old up against the U.S. from the beginning. We'll see what kind of an impact she can make off the bench.
You said earlier that Shirley Cruz had come back from playing many years abroad in France, and then she was in China, and now she's back in Costa Rica. And one of the things that she talked about coming back to Codea was that they would sign professional contracts. And one of the areas that she has been fighting for decades is just that, the professionalism, and turning it into more of a professional adventure for the women in Costa Rica, and especially with that league. So that she's hoping to establish more contracts, more pay, more support. Seems to be a common theme globally.
Cruz moved to Leon when she was 20 and just signed with Codea Alajuela, her hometown club, in October. She was the first professional contract, but again, she says she hopes there will be many more to come. Scored 5 minutes into her first game, too. Bermudez got a touch. Well played by Sullivan to bring that out wide. Sonnet, the right-footed delivery. Bounces down, fired home. Bar down from Lynn Williams. She's got 2.
How about Lynn Williams? Hasn't seen time in almost 2 years, and here she comes back into the scene. 2 goals, should have had an assist as well, and putting her stamp on this game.
How about that finish?
So easy to knock that one over the bar. And that is a beauty off the half volley by Lynn Williams.
You're scoring at home. They did credit Jessica McDonald with an assist for her part in contesting that cross from Sonnet. Lavelle slots that through. Purse does get there. And Bermudez diving at the feet of Mallory Pugh, able to hold on. Not much fun to be a goalkeeper against the U.S. in one of these. Dinia Diaz, who's available off the bench, has dealt with most of the previous U.S.-Costa Rica games. Here's Alana Cook to Midge Purse. First time the U.S. has started 2 debutantes since October 2016 against Switzerland.
We failed to mention my favorite stat of the night.
Oh boy.
Yeah, given to us by Jen Cooper.
Of course.
Go on, say it, Jonathan.
It's your school. There aren't any Rice players out there, I'll tell you that.
Alana Cook became the 15th Stanford player to be capped by the U.S. women's national team. We are only now 41 players behind the University of North Carolina. 41 is doable.
North Carolina may have something to say about that. Won another ACC title today.
She also mentioned Santa Clara was ahead of Stanford, but I'm not buying that until I see proof. I think she said one more player.
Yeah, 16 for Santa Clara. You could not name them, which does not surprise me. Pugh playing it forward for Williams.
Got to about 10. Brandy, you'd be proud of that.
Here is Cook out of Stanford. Sullivan out of Stanford. Mallory Pugh just ran out of room. And that will bring us to our next Stanford Cardinal. When will she be eligible for the United States?
There we go.
Catarina Macario is absolutely tearing up collegiate soccer. She's not eligible for the U.S. yet. She has a green card, but she's not a U.S. citizen. But there's a December camp coming.
Yeah, Catarina Macario, a junior at Stanford. She's the Mac Herman Trophy Award winner, best college player in the year last year as a sophomore. And she is lighting it up, and she wants to play for the United States, although she was born and raised in Brazil. So it is looking like, Jonathan, it's not going to happen until 2022, where she will be cleared by FIFA to play.
But she can train with the U.S. program. She's been in with the under-23s. And so that leads us to the December camp, which is going to be an ID camp to develop and identify talent for the future. And you and I have wondered if she might get a call in December after the College Cup. We don't know that she will or won't, but you and I have seen enough to know she is a giant in the college game.
Yeah.
And Vlatko Andonovski said to us, we will scout the best in the college game.
And NWSL, of course. And U.S. Soccer could always appeal that and try and get her, if FIFA grants the appeal, to play for the United States before the end of 2022 when she turns 23.
Ali Long broke that up. Outlets for Williams. Or McDonald, rather. Williams making the run. Loose touch with Pugh lurking. And Bermudez collects. So that's what's next for the U.S., this December camp. Won't be any games attached to that. And then they move on to Olympic qualifying in January with the first team roster. You presume after a camp that will then be cut down for the 20-player Olympic qualifying roster. And that's the group schedule. Twisting and turning, Rocky Rodriguez drove it high, arriving at the top of the penalty area. Speaking of players whose alma maters won conference titles, Penn State took the Big Ten crown today.
Rocky Rodriguez has always been just such a fun player to watch. Another top collegiate player when she won at Penn State in 2015, got that award. Seen her at Sky Blue, of course. And another one who's hoping that they can create a base in Costa Rica where they can play and develop players. And you have more Salas coming in at 17 years old on the national team, more fully developed.
And you have older players working on professional contracts, so they don't have to call in teenagers as much, too, at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Or they can stay in their own country and play.
And her dad played for Costa Rica and is still a coach. And Rodriguez went back and did a clinic in her hometown. You could see, we saw some video of it, what it meant to her to have little girls who were looking up to her. It was pretty cool to see. So Cruz and Rodriguez, two of the notables. There's several players playing abroad trying to professionalize Costa Rican players, and they hope eventually the domestic league as well. Here's Alvarado, the deep-lying midfielder. This is more what Costa Rica wants to be doing. Herrera heads down. It's a back heel attempt from Shirley Cruz. They're still moving it. Still Melissa Herrera. That shot off the crossbar again. Ertz heads away, and finally the U.S. gets clear.
Two off the crossbar, and Herrera doing so well to just navigate the top of the box there. Chinchilla with the shot.
Looks like French got a hand to that on that last replay angle. Give her the credit.
And mind you, if Costa Rica scores, it would be only the third time they've scored against the United States in 14 games they've played against them.
'77th minute here in Jacksonville. Now a reminder that Serie A on ESPN continues Saturday, November 23rd, just before 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN News. Atalanta hosting Cristiano Ronaldo and Juve in a matchup of Champions League teams. The match streaming live on the ESPN app. Two goals for Lynn Williams, one of the big stories of the night. Costa Rica showing a little bit more confidence. Again, their starters against a bit more of a mishmash from the U.S. here. Lavelle off the intercept once again. McDonald trying to pick out Williams. Lavelle with the spin move, beats one more. Off the goal line after it caromed off of Williams' shin. She didn't know anything about it.
Could watch Rose Lavelle over and over and over again. How she finds Lynn Williams on that back post. Took a little deflection, it looks like. Hence off the shin there.
Tenth corner. Bermudez started and came back. This is Purse. Might have been a little contact there after she had already gone into the collision as Chinchilla and Lavelle battle. Priscilla Chinchilla comes away with it. Has Salas running up the middle. Franch coming for it. And Alana Cook just enough to body off. I think it was Herrera actually making the run for the clear. Bermudez under pressure. There will be a U.S. throw. Throw in for Purse for the U.S. So what are you seeing now? Almost 2 games. These players playing under Vlatko Andonovski. Nothing crazy different.
Well, it's hard to assess in a game like tonight, right? Where you have such a difference in class between the two teams. But still, against Sweden, for example, 5th in the world, I thought could have been 5-2. Right? They created enough chances. And given all that they've been through, for this to be the last game of 2019, in the energy they're still able to exert, and to be 5-0 up with 80 minutes, right? I mean, great success and start for him. And you see a ton of smiles. You see a lot of great positive energy. I think to a player, one of the things you always hear about Vlatko Andonovski is not only the X's and O's and how good he is at that, but how great he is as a human being and managing players. And how important that is with such a tight turnaround and all the hard decisions he's going to have to make coming into this Olympic cycle.
Almost given away there with Salas lurking. Ertz keeps it moving.
And he's going to have to make the big decision, Jonathan, which we asked him about yesterday a little bit, but it's hard to get a sense, of course, with only his second game in, is do you stick with the train that was working, right? Or do you try and, with a shorter roster, do you try and lead a couple younger players in? Because you do have an aging veteran core. And he said it all depends on where they are and how good they are and where they're at. But if it's any indication from what we've seen from Carli Lloyd at 37.
She said this is the best I've ever been in my career.
Right. And
at 37.
And she looks sharp. She looks good. I mean, she makes a very strong argument of why she should be in there.
Well, how psyched is she? She felt like she had been written off at times. The last 3 years were not great for her mentally, and looks it on the field and says it quite plainly off the field.
Very vocal about that on my podcast as well. But if you listen to the whole thing, it puts
I did.
It puts it into context of, and the thing about Carli we've always known is it's not something that goes out in a negative way in terms of it affecting the whole group, right? Like, they know that this is Carli, this is how competitive she is, and she's going to fight to be the best version of her, but it's not going to be at your detriment.
Don't forget, you can find the Laughter Permitted with Julie Foudy podcast on the ESPN app or Apple or Spotify. New episodes weekly. I have a backlog of non-soccer ones to catch up on.
We have our first non-sports related trailblazer next week. Do you want to take a guess, Jonathan?
Have you been teasing it and I should already know this?
No.
Oh.
Katie Couric joins us. Very excited.
Long stretch to intercept that. Got it away to Mallory Pugh. That's a foul. Pugh still only 21. Already third-year professional after leaving UCLA early without ever playing a game for him. And now facing a crowded field of players as the U.S. concedes another free kick. It was a couple years ago, it was January, and Mallory Pugh was the next thing, and she's still playing, she's still competing, but there's a lot of competition for those spots.
It's hard.
Stephanie Blanco, she can hit these. Too much air, though, under that one.
Continuing on the Vlatko Andonovski story, we heard a great one from Becky Sauerbrunn about how when she first met him at Kansas City, one of the early days, he said to her, you know, I'm Vlatko Andonovski, and kind of jokingly that, in 10 years I'll be your national team coach as well.
And Becky
he said it smiling and joking, but you knew he meant it.
She said, well, that's a good goal to aspire to someday. Less than 10 years.
And then she said when he got the job, I sent him a text saying, well, you beat the timeline by a couple of years. Congratulations. I thought that was great.
I mean, it's amazing. Indoor player. He's coaching youth soccer in Kansas City and was almost always coaching women. And when he got the chance to coach FC Kansas City, he told us, look, any NWSL coach, once you get to that level, what's next? The national team has to come to mind. So yes, I was thinking about it. Oh, that one deflects in, spinning away to add insult to injury. Goal number 6.
Midge Purse doing what we've seen her do all game, not just get down that right side, but get in that box. And this is what happens when you do. Good things happen. Nice little deflection for her, and a heartbreaker for Costa Rica.
Own goal charged against Stephanie Blanco, who's just trying to deflect a cross. And Costa Rica will bring on Mariana Benavides here, former captain of their under-20 team, replacing Raquel Rodriguez, who said she tries to stay she loves to go home, but she tries to train in the U.S. in the off-season when she can in New Jersey on the sky blue side. Kate Markgraf said at halftime, and she said publicly before, I would have loved to hire a woman for this position, but she felt she had to get the right person, and we heard it from player after player. They felt he was next up, and after hearing his presentation and interviewing him, Kate and the U.S. soccer staff felt the same way. I mean, what does it say to you, though, that there aren't more female candidates for that job and for an assistant job now? Need
a lot of wine for that one, actually, Jonathan.
You don't need any warning for that.
Yeah, well, and you also heard her say that they're going to try and find that in an assistant coach, and I hope they can, because I do think it's important, and I know Kate does as well, as do all of us in soccer, but it does speak to the pipeline problem that we don't have or created enough, or are in a situation where women can take that much time off. So we definitely need to plant the seed with more women that this is an opportunity. You can be doing this while they're playing. Or even those who've played and have stopped playing collegiately to get into coaching and to get your license.
Pugh chases this one down. Long. I think this is still correct. Jill Ellis was the only woman who's taken the U.S. Soccer professional coaching license course so far. And killed it, from what I heard, by the way. You look way back in January when Jill Ellis took the U.S. to France, lost on the road, a very rare loss. Did you think they'd go the rest of the year unbeaten, Women's World Cup champions?
No, but I did know that loss to France was a good sign, because they lost to France in January of 2015, and that year also ended in a World Cup as well. I took that as a good omen.
About to be 20-0-3 since that road loss in January. Offside flag is up, denying Williams a crack at a hat trick.
Tight. I think that's the right call at 6-0, though.
Into stoppage time at the end of this one. U.S. looking for lucky number 7. Almost fell to Pugh, and then Williams arriving saw her shot deflected out for a corner. Up to 12 corners now for the U.S. in this second half, or for the game after amassing many in the second half. Sullivan took it before Karen Apt deemed Costa Rica was ready. Sanchez trying to get Costa Rica out here. All the way back to Bermudez into the second minute of second half, stoppage time. A good night, 2-0 at halftime, and the U.S. adding to it in the second for Vlatko Andonovski to go to 2-0 and head into a more evaluatory and developmental January camp to get ready for Olympic qualifiers. Said it's a great chance to make history in our first year, trying to become the first team to win Olympic gold on the heels of a Women's World Cup title.
I think the most important thing for this team right now, too, is they got to get some rest. They've got to just take some time. And what I imagine the coaching staff and Don Scott in particular are saying to them is, let your body recover. Take some time, because they're going to have to ramp it right back up in January. And then the rest of that year is going to be crazy as well. And for this last game of 2019, the players, I mean, so much to be proud of. You get a shutout in this last game. You introduce the new coaching era. Not the easiest game to start with a team like Sweden. They come out with 2 wins for him, renewed energy and focus. And then you take some time and say, okay, let's come back ready and roaring to go come January. Because as we've been saying this entire game, it's something no one has ever done before on the women's side. Win that Olympic gold medal. It is an elusive one, and this team knows it.
That's ahead in 2020. The U.S. closes 2019 with a 6-0 shutout. We'll be back to wrap it up from Jacksonville after this. Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 in the CONCACAF Nations League. The U.S. taking on Canada. Will Christian Pulisic be healthy enough to play? We hope so. That's in Orlando and streaming live on the ESPN app. Tonight, Lynn Williams hit 2 and the U.S. hit Costa Rica for 6. Coming up next, SportsCenter Veterans Week special presented by USAA. For our great crew, for Julie Foudy, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Thanks for joining us tonight. The champs close the year in dominating style. Good night from Jacksonville.